Today is the last episode of the We Are Send Network podcast. And man, it has been a joy to be a part of this. Something that Dhati, you started a few years ago, man. Talk us a little bit about that.
Family, multiplication, restoration. I'm Dhati Lewis. Join me, Noah Oldham and Heiden Ratner, as we come to you from Atlanta, St. Louis, and Las Vegas, as we seek to add value to your church planting journey. We'll have real-time, authentic conversations that are relevant to the life of the church planter and pastor. Join us as we hear from leaders of this movement from across North America and discover what it really takes to plant churches everywhere for everyone.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the We Are Send Network podcast. My name is Noah Oldham, the lead pastor of August Gate in St. Louis, joined as always by Dhati Lewis, the lead pastor of Blueprint in Atlanta, Georgia, and Heiden Ratner, the senior pastor of Walk Church in Las Vegas, Nevada. Once again, brothers, good to see you.
So good.
Yes, sir. What's up? Good seeing you, fellas.
Well, guys,
how's it feeling in St. Louis and then Atlanta? I know in Las Vegas we got a little breeze. It's not too bad though.
Yeah, it's cold, man. It's December. It's Christmas time, and it's happening. Yeah, for real.
Yeah, same here. I mean, Atlanta's fickle. It's fickle about how the weather. So you never know. Like today is great, tomorrow won't be. And so Atlanta, she keeps you on your toes.
Is
that how they say it about the Falcons? Is that some days are great?
You went there.
Hey,
you're a Saints guy. You're a Saints guy.
I know I am, but still, I'm still a church planter. You can't. I can talk about my city. I can't let others. You know what I'm saying? So
hey, the Raiders aren't giving me a lot to talk about right now. So let's continue on in the podcast.
Oh man, we do have a lot to talk about today. Hey guys, it's a new season. It's a new season at Send Network, and so it's a new season for the We Are Send Network podcast. Hey, today is actually our farewell episode. Today is the last episode of the We Are Send Network podcast. And man, it has been a joy to be a part of this. Something that Dhati, you started a few years ago, man. Talk us a little bit about that, the start and the impetus behind this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When you said that, like something dropped in my soul, and I felt like the Boys the Men are like, "It's so hard to say goodbye." Just kind of like the music, the soundtrack was in the back, and I was just like, man, I felt like that was kind of what was going on. But man, one of the things that it really does, it's a new season, and with new seasons, there's both times of celebration, but also times of grief, right? I'm just sent off my oldest daughter to college. She's at UGA, and and it was just like it was one of those times that we're celebrating. Yay, we made it! Like you're going off to college. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad. It's over. Like, and you think about the regrets and what would you have done different and those types of things. And so I think that that's kind of very similar. What I'm really excited about is that We Are Send Network kind of embody really what my passion and the desire is for all of us, is to really give Send Network a soul, right? Is this like getting people to take ownership and responsibility to say, like, Send Network is not just kind of this far distant thing that just kind of comes and gives resources and fundings and all of those. It does assessments but no, it's I am, you are, we are a Send Network, right? That we have the ability to be both national, but also international, but all at the same time to be very local, right? And so the embodiment of our city teams, and I think we have all taken this a lot of pride of just saying, like, this is about practitioners. This is about people who are doing it, people who just went through COVID. Like, we're going through COVID together, people who are linking arms, people who are banding together in city teams, people who are like, who has one another's backs and that are looking out for one another's back. People were providing care for one another. We're encouragement. Like, this is like the idea of being able to say this. It's not just kind of this ship or this big thing that are in this distance that is just pouring out resources. No, we are Send Network. You are Send Network. I'm Send Network. And so I've been really excited just with all the different guests that we've had, the different pastors, the different practitioners, the different leaders that have been able to say, we are Send Network. I am Send Network. So it's excited. I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about kind of where we come from, where we're going, because that same spirit is going to continue to be maintained throughout, even though we're no longer doing this podcast per se, but that same spirit will continue to reign in our souls as Sin Network, as the family of Sin
It's
Network
good.
churches.
It's good. Yeah.
Amen.
Heiden, you've mentioned before, Dhati had the humility to invite you and I to come on and be a part of hosting the show over about the last year and a half. And really thankful for your voice in this show. What's one big thing, Heiden, you're taking away that you are just so thankful for this last season together?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thankful for the time with you guys. And as a practitioner myself, right, times when I've been able to share on the podcast, I'm oftentimes sharing on real life, real time things we're walking through in our church plant. We just turned 6 years old. We're learning about team development. We're learning about preaching calendar and learning about how to continue to multiply, continue to make disciples, continue to shape culture, how to break barriers, And so this podcast for me has really been what we prayed it would be for everybody, which is a podcast that's geared toward church planters, couples, teams, that could not just be a good listen, like that was pretty dope, like all right, but actually add value in real time with the content, with the teaching and principles. So yeah, I'm grateful for it. I'll be revisiting episodes we did in the past, just to be able to say, hey, what was that thing that Noah said? Dhati dropped this nugget in this session that was a game changer. Let me go find it. And so, yeah, I'm big grateful for this past season of the We Are Sin Network
And
podcast.
just the
Yeah,
idea of like
yeah,
this, the idea of saying that we are better together. That's something that we talk about
right.
oftentimes, and we are better together. And and the show exponentially went great, but it became a lot better when you guys joined the podcast, right? When you guys came on, people was tired of hearing me, but it's really good to get different perspectives, and I love, each and every time that we get a chance together, you introduce us that we're pastors, right?
Right.
Pastors in different contexts from different places. And so I'm just really thankful for you guys. And Noah, like I would love to hear. I mean, you have for so long have been doing the heavy lifting for us, in this way and in this time. How is it for you? How is this farewell episode for you as
Yeah.
someone who's been doing kind of the heavy lifting?
And I tell you what, it's been a dream come true to be a part of this network. I mean, for real, like when Send Network became Send Network and more than just guys in a family of churches that get similar funding and end up in a city together. And we really said we're going to lock arms to be a family of churches in life and in ministry. As a game changer for me. It was a dream come true when God called me to St. Louis to plant back in 2006 when the dream began. I wanted to see things like this come to fruition. And so to be able to play a part in that really has been a dream come true. Someone asked me today, they knew we were filming this and they said, is it bittersweet? And I said, no, it's just bitter. It's just bitter for me right now. In days ahead, it'll be bittersweet for sure. But I really have learned a lot. People joke with me all the time that my fashion sense has gone up exponentially since I become closer friends with you guys.
That's being with
Let's
Heiden,
go.
boy. I'm telling you.
Tell you what.
Fill me
but
up, bro.
just a number of things that I've learned from both of you. I've been challenged not only in our on-camera conversations, but beyond behind the scenes, man. Just challenged to think differently and think better and think biblically. And for real though, like I know that it's a new season and we're all going to be doing ministry parallel to one another. There's a big change coming. Like Dhati, this coincides with a transition, a huge transition in your life. For the last 3 years, you have been the VP/president of Send Network, and now you are stepping out in faith. Now, I would love for you to share a little bit about that transition with our listeners, so they can be praying, but also just to hear. We're all going to go through seasons of change in our ministry by God's grace. What's God doing right now? What are you excited about?
Well, I'm glad that you captured it as seasons, right? And let me just tell you guys, like, because I know that there's, in this time, and it's like there's always something else, there's something different, like what's behind the scenes, tell me the real, and it's like all that is like, I have absolutely loved, absolutely enjoyed the last 3 years that I've been to be able to be the VP and president at Send Network. And I absolutely would do it for another 3 years if if could be. But what ended up taking place is that God has really wrestled in my heart, right? It's just like, and I've really been getting to wrestle. Like, God, are you calling me to be continue to be Esther, or are you calling me to be Paul, right? Esther is that I can continue to maintain a position, but at the same time, like, and focus on a little bit on kind of what I feel called for. You guys have heard me say many times that, like, God, my ultimate contribution that I feel like God has called me is to be the last generation to leave the urban context for sound discipleship. I've been made for that. I've been created for that,
Wow.
right? And specifically being able to minister in majority, minority, multi-ethnic places. And I just know that that's how God has wired me, right? And if I just, I don't have to retell my story and all that, but like, as you look at my story, my narrative, and I was just like, and for me, while we have different emphases, we're doing collegiate, I'm talking about Sin Network, we do collegiate, we do, rural, we got Sin Network Espanol, we got urban, we got, metro, we got all the different focuses that we have. And I was just like, man, I'm always excited about seeing the gospel, planted in all of those areas. And I get excited about that. But there's something that's unique about when I see it happening in the urban context, there's just something that just bubbles up in me. It's just like, I know that I'm doing what I've been called to do. And I was just like, I can continue to maintain this position, or I can focus in on the mission and give 100% of my time to this. And that was really when I just started talking. And I said, man, Kevin, this is what I'm built for. I love what I'm doing, but I've been made to do this thing with urban context. And so Kevin and the board of trustees were gracious enough to say, all right, what does that look like? And that's where we began to dream, about how to set it up. And so that's really what we're talking about. Like, we've taken Boulevard, which we've been doing, and just kind of taking that and putting it and making it a standalone kind of nonprofit ministry that we have, that will be focused 100% our energy on helping people, right? Helping people that are facing, right? Teaching people, you know, equipping urban leaders, but specifically, right, helping us to navigate the cultural divide by planting churches in these minority, majority, multi-ethnic places, right? Seeing, like, navigate the tension both for white, black, this is not a FUBU ministry. This is not any of those things. And really, because I think that this is not even like a niche ministry, because this is where America will be, and this is where America will be going. In 2040, America will be a majority minority country, right? And are we prepared for that, right? And I just really want to help leaders give their primary energy to that, right? Their primary energy to focusing and empowering them to spend their primary energy on seeing that taking place. And so that's where it is. That's where my heart, that's where I'm passionate. And so that's where I'm going to focus my energy, in that area. And so I just really want to set the record straight, want to be really clear. Like, there is no side conversation. There is no back room. This is the smoke-filled room when it comes to kind of laying my heart on display for people to see of the reason why I'm moving. So you don't ever have to ask me, hey, tell me the real, Dhati. Nah, this is the real. This is where it's at. It's about what God is doing in my heart and my family's heart, and really getting back to the ultimate contribution that I know God has placed on me. And this is also, and I can see how God has used these last 3 years to helping me to do it even more, like to do it even more better and more strategic and all of that. So I'm excited about this new future. I'm excited. Our church is still a part of the Sin Network family. You'll still hear me saying we are Sin Network. It's like nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. And so I'm excited about it. And and so I just want to set the record straight, right? Right here, and for everybody to know.
And that's really awesome too, Dhati, because one thing that you've always coached in my time with Boulevard, being around you, hearing you lead here on the podcast, is you can't give what you don't have. That idea, you teach what you know, you reproduce who you are. I'm dropping some of my Dhati lines, right? And what type of leader are you if you coach these different things, but when you sense a burden from vision, you don't move on it, right? And so I think my respect for you just goes even higher, because you said, hey, I got to live out what I'm preaching. I got to live out what I would encourage other people listening to this podcast to do. If they got a vision from burden, if they know what their calling is, I'm going to encourage them to do it. But here you are saying, and not only am I going to encourage that, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And I just, even when that looks borderline sacrificial, challenging, risky, praise God for your faith. And I think that that's even a principle for somebody leaning in, listening right now. When God's put a vision on your heart, a calling on your heart, you gotta go do that thing.
That's good.
Praise God.
Yeah, what I heard you just say, Dhati, is it's not about the position, it's about the mission. And
Great.
man, that just resonates in my soul, because so many church planters, in order to become church planters, they have to believe that it's not about this
Right.
position. We talk about the golden handcuffs of youth ministry sometimes, guys that are in a position as a student pastor or a collegiate pastor or associate, and they got all the benefits of this established church, and God's calling them to go, and they got to say it's not about a position, it's about the mission, and to obey God to do that. But then we can do the same thing, get comfortable in a church plant and say, hey, God's got something else in a new season. And what an inspiration to see the guy as high as you can go in the Send Network, leading this thing, giving vision to say, God's doing a new thing in my heart, and I gotta fully obey. It's inspiring, man.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for us, and that would be my encouragement to us as the Sin Network family, the church planters, as we continue. My encouragement would be like, let's not continue to define God's will by the path of least resistance, right?
Mm.
Like, let's not do that, right? Because oftentimes what we see is that people are always called to easier and better, right, instead of harder and worse.
Wow.
And I think that reality kind of we make comfort our North Star, right? And I think that is it, that we got to just be obedient to what God is calling us. And if that may be stepping down from a position to focus on the mission, or whatever it may be, or it may be taking a position to focus on the mission, or whatever it may be. And that's a lot of different things, and it can be fleshed out in a lot of different ways. But what we have to do is just be obedient to the Lord, right? We got to be obedient to
Great.
the Lord. And this is why I'm excited. I'm excited about kind of where we've come from, where we are now, and where we're going, right? As a Sin Network family, where we're going. And part of me is just want to come alongside, as the boulevard, and just kind of help to teach, right, Christian leaders to navigate the cultural divide, right? Come alongside the people, helping the indigenous to providing relationship and resources so that they can focus their attention. I want to come alongside the non-indigenous to helping them how to think indigenously, right? And
That's
really
good.
because if we're going to be the last generation to leave the urban context for sound discipleship, it's going to take more than just one network, one company, one denomination, one. And we got to all come together, right? And kind of take the gospel to the ends of the earth, right? And so I'm excited about this new season. I'm excited about personally what God is doing in my heart, but I'm also excited about kind of the future, right?
Yeah.
With Vance coming in this, and him coming in, he's been on the advisory team. Some people who have been advising me and connecting, like, it's someone I respect, I love, and I know that he's gonna take Sin Network to places that I could not have taken it, right? And so I'm just really excited about that. I'm in full support, full excitement, about this next season and everything. And so I'm excited, and I'm excited about you, brothers, right? I have learned so much from you, from over these years of just kind of how you have shepherded your flock, how you loved your city, right? How you have loved your wives, taking care of your children. Like, I've been in rooms where you guys is like, I got to get back. I got to get back to my house, because I got to protect my kids at night, or I got to bring my wife, or whatever it is. It's like that you guys have a great balance of it. And I think that's the part that I wanted to continue to encourage us as Sin Network, is that we will continue to have a soul, that we're real. We're embracing the real challenges of what we're doing. And as we're pressing in and we're trying to plant churches in the real realities of COVID, and the real realities of the disparities, the real realities that's going on in our country. And so you guys have lived that out. You have fleshed that out. And I just want to continue to encourage you guys to continue to run the race, right, with endurance.
Yeah.
So good. It's great.
Well, it's not only a new season for Dhati and a new season for Send Network, it's a new season for NAM. NAM has recently acquired newchurches.com. And it's a website that used to be in a podcast that used to be owned by a partner ministry. We have acquired them and relaunched the New Churches podcast. And so if you go there now and you search New Churches anywhere you find your podcast, you're going to find the New Churches podcast. And what you're going to recognize is some familiar voices. You're going to see Ed Stetzer's name and Trevin Wax. And what right now they're dealing with are they're in a series talking about the most Googled church planting questions. And they had Mike Cosper, the guy who brought us The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill, and talked about what pastors and planters can learn from that. But in the months to come, they're going to be familiar faces and familiar voices from the Send Network. Newchurches.com really allows the Send Network, who is powering that, to reach out to a broader audience. I know this is something, Dhati, that had been on your heart for years in your role. You wanted to see Send Network influence the kingdom in a greater way. And through newchurches.com and with the New Churches podcast, we're going to be able to do that. And so it brings about a change, but it brings about a season for an opportunity to as Heiden often says, to level up.
Right.
Heiden, what do you think, man? What do you think is next for Send Network? As you think about the days and the weeks to come, what's on your heart?
Well, I think that asking me that question has a little bit of maybe a little bit of uniqueness or grace timing, because I had the privilege of learning under Pastor Vance for many years. Hope Church is our sending church here in Las Vegas. And so just been able to hear his burden for planting, multiplication. I learned about a kingdom framework from him, and just being around him the past couple of weeks and watching him use a lot of the similar language that Dhati just used, of just saying, hey, you know what, like I had to stay true to who I am. He shared with Hope Church, he says, I've preached kingdom and sending for 20 years, and now I got to live it as I feel sent, as I feel called to make a kingdom move. And so I think just really excited to see how Pastor Vance can jump on the shoulders of Dhati and say, okay, we really started something powerful here with the We Are Send Network movement. I mean, this is a movement, amen, right? We just shared that with some of our Las Vegas planters. Like, this isn't just a moment. This is a movement that's bigger than us. And to see Pastor Vance say in humility, Dhati has really led well. And now I just want to continue to try to take it as further as the Lord would allow it. I'm excited to lean in and be a part of the story that God has for all of us as a whole, planting churches everywhere for everyone and continuing it together. So that's where I'm at today.
I appreciate it. I remember I saw Vance's, video out talking about being on my shoulders. Like, Vance, I mean, I did play football, but I ain't worked out in a while, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know, I think I got some shoulders that can stand on, but nah, they ain't that strong. But I do appreciate Vance, and I am really looking forward to and excited, about kind of the days ahead and kind of what's going on. And really, for those out there, let me just kind of let you guys know, like, we're going to be doing this in partnership with NAF, the National African American Fellowship. Like, so it'd be Boulevard, NAF, and NAM. And this partnership will be, part of it is for us to explicitly continue to raise up leaders to underserved communities, right? We're SBC, where we have not served these communities. And so part of this is looking for, specifically, minorities, Black Christians and leaders and future church planting couples that want to see churches planted in these communities. And so please, if that is you, if you know that is you, we're going to create some contextualized training, come alongside with the Boulevard to continue to add, kerosene, or I don't know if kerosene is the right word, lighter fluid, something to get that thing going, getting that thing going a little bit more, because, and so I love this, the commitment, and it's so exciting to be a part of that with Boulevard, in doing that. So I'm excited.
Beautiful.
Great.
Well, brothers, it's been an amazing season to have been put this podcast together, to be together week in and week out, sharing with brothers and sisters all across North America. As always, we want everybody to know, as you're listening, you want to know more about church planting with Send Network, you go to sendnetwork.com. You can text the phrase Send Network to 888-123. And if you want new resources about what it looks like to plant churches and our masterclass and all these resources coming out, newchurches.com is the place to get them. And check out the New Churches podcast, where you will see a lot of familiar Send Network faces. And we've said this each and every episode. Even though this is the last I know that as we see one another and all the different opportunities we get to partner, I know it's going to be the content and the cry of my heart to continually say, we are Send Network. And so everybody, until we see you again, where God will allow us, we love you. It's been a blast. We are Send Network.
You have been listening to We Are Send Network, a resource of the North American Mission Board. For more information about today's podcast and other relevant resources, visit sendnetwork.com.